Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I work with a lot of individuals with attachment wounds. Specifically, I work with avoidant individuals, but I do work with secure and anxious preoccupied as well, just not as common. Today, I wanted to go over a topic that a lot of people have been asking me on the comments, and I think it's a valid question. And they've been asking it in a lot of different ways, but today we're kind of going to just say kind of how you will know if an avoidant is about to ghost you. Right? So ghosting basically means where they cut connection off from you, and it's typically from texting you. So this is more common in the dating stage, but it can happen in long-term relationships. Although I will be completely honest, I've never seen an avoidant do it in a long-term relationship. I'm sure it can happen, but it's probably very, very rare. I've never seen it. But yes, I believe it can happen. I'm almost positive it can. I've just never seen it. But there are typically signs when an avoidant is about to ghost you in general, and we're going to say in a relationship. And I wanted to go over that with you today. So let's first go ahead and talk about why an avoidant would ghost you. There are so many reasons that I probably cannot fit it in this video. However, I would say one of the main reasons that avoidants ghost an individual is because of some form of shame. Whether it's shame that you're going to find out who they really are, whether it's shame that they have to be honest to you about something, whether it's shame that you're going to see their wound, you're not going to like them, whether it's shame that they can't give you what they expect that you're looking for. So typically why an avoidant ghosts you is shame. The other reason, which could be in conjunction with shame, is that avoidant individuals are a little bit more conflict avoidant, and they do not like, they don't really like negativity in general. It's really hard for them to process their feelings. So you can imagine if you're an individual who struggles to process intense feelings of your own, it's really hard to also process another person's intense feelings and try and figure out the solution while there's so much emotions going on. It's really challenging. And so a lot of times avoidants don't want to have to face that part. And so what they do is which is not healthy, it actually can be quite selfish, is they decide, you know what, I'm just going to stop answering and hopefully it'll go away, which no, that's not healthy at all. In fact, a lot of times when avoidants do this, I'm not surprised, but they do come back sometimes because they realize it was probably not the right thing to do. And they also want closure. But if an avoidant does ghost you, often from my perspective, it's a sign that this individual has a great deal of work left to do. There are avoidants that understand that ghosting is not healthy. Even if they're an avoidant, they may have other traits, but not all avoidants ghost. I think that's a big misconception that a lot of people think all avoidants ghost or all avoidants leave, or a lot of avoidants. I think another word that a lot of people use is like avoidants discard you. There are plenty of avoidants that do not do that. And so I would very much strongly say if your partner or the person you're talking to ghosts you a lot or disappears and then comes back, whatever you want to call it, or has ghosted you, it's really important to realize that this person might be quite a challenge in terms of they're pretty far away from healing. It's quite, it probably means they haven't healed much, I'm being honest with you, and it can be pretty challenging. I'm sorry if this disclaimer is kind of long today, but I do want to let you guys know I'm not trying to say that you should stay with a person who treats you poorly. However, you're welcome to, but it is something to understand that this person will probably be very challenging to deal with because there are a lot of avoidants that don't do this, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about the signs or the aspects, traits, whatever you want to call it, that you know that you may be about to get ghosted by an avoidant. And it sounds so bad to say out loud, and I'm sorry to let you know this is not always the case. And I'll tell you what to do to kind of clarify with your partner to know if this is what's really going on. Because anyone who's healthy will be able to clarify for you, at least healthy enough, right? Okay, so the first one is shorter messages than usual. I think this one can be tricky because avoidants they do tend to have shorter messages once you guys get closer as well. But they are able to reassure you if you ask, what's going on? Why are the messages getting shorter? They're able to reassure you. Whereas an individual, if they're about to ghost you, that may be what makes them ghost you. And it wasn't you. They just kind of felt like, okay, this is the perfect opportunity just to disappear because they don't even want to communicate. So a lot of people are afraid to confront an individual because they're afraid that they think the confrontation, they blame themselves, which is really sad. Don't blame yourself if an avoidant ghosts you or if anyone ghosts you. It's not, they should do better than that. It's not an appropriate way to communicate. So if you confront somebody and they ghost you, it's not because you confronted them. They were probably planning to prior. They were already emotionally there. Nobody wants to do that to somebody that they're serious about. Unless, they could be lost and they're not in their healing journey, but they might not be serious about anything. But regardless, it's very hard to salvage a relationship when you ghost them. People know that, even avoidance. So if you're noticing shorter messages, it's really important to ask them what's going on. Shorter messages from what they typically do. And you notice that they're getting shorter and shorter. Example might be, you write a detailed message about your day and they might say, okay, or whatever. And they don't typically do that. Or it takes a long time for them to actually answer and then they write a short message or whatever. Or they're just not answering at all, right? And those things are pretty direct. Those are pretty direct. How would I say it? Those are pretty obvious signs in messaging in general that they're about to ghost you. But another one, which is not really messaging, the second one is canceling last minute on plans without plans to meet up again. So let me explain that. Let's say you guys had plans to meet this Saturday, and then last minute they say, oh, I can't. I have to help my mom. I don't know why that example, I feel like that's such a common excuse, even though it's good that you're helping your mom. I'm not saying that, but I hear that excuse a lot when avoidants are trying to ghost someone. I don't know why. They will say, I'm trying to help my mom or my friend's in town and I got to help them move their stuff. My friend is moving to town and I'm helping them move to their new apartment, whatever it is. And then you say, okay, that's fine. When do you want to meet next? And they say, oh, I'll let you know. Doesn't sound like they're really ready to make a plan. It sounds like to me they're trying to get out of making plans with you. Actually, it sounds like they're about to ghost you. And that's exactly why I put it in this video. Because that's what I think is going on, right? And that's not always true. And that's why it's very important to ask, I really do want to meet. We've been dating for X amount or whatever you want to say, right? I want us to meet. Is there something going on? Has something changed? Because I feel like you're dodging our plans. And this is not something you typically do. I'm worried about you. Are you stressed out? Or do you want to talk about maybe what we want from each other? Something like that. That wasn't very elegant, but I hope you guys get what I mean. And at that point, they can choose to be honest. They might ghost you. They might be honest with you. And it's your opportunity to hear them out if they want to be honest with you, right? The other sign which an avoidant is about to ghost you. So the first one we mentioned was shorter messages. The second one is canceling last minute without establishing to meet again. The third one that we're about to talk about is decrease in communication in general. So let's say your avoidant partner, I don't know, let's say they tend to send you reels on Instagram and they tend to call you, send you pictures, whatever it is about what they're doing, and they have not done that. It's like a decrease. They don't message you as much anymore, so they're not initiating contact as much. That's typically a sign, not always, because avoidants might do that just because they're comfortable and they're, more comfortable with you. But it is typically a sign that you may be ghosted, truly. And it's really important to recognize that and ask them. I've noticed that you're not sending me as much reels anymore. You're not sending me as much, whatever it is. You're not sending me as much messages anymore. What's going on? What can we talk about? What's going on? I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, whatever it is, because I don't understand how you guys communicate with one another. Because some people are more comfortable being more vulnerable. Some people are being more comfortable being more very cut to the chase type. So my examples of communication does not necessarily mean that's how you have to communicate. Whatever you guys want to communicate to address the issue. Just because you want to clarify, are you about to be ghosted or not? And if you get ghosted, they're probably not going to clarify anyway. So it's a good opportunity to learn who your partner is. Because a healthy partner, regardless of avoidant or not, And I'm telling you this genuinely. There are a lot of avoidants that if you ask them directly, they will be honest with you. Usually that's a sign that that's an avoidant who's already going to change, whether it's now or 3 years later. But one of the most common ways that I know an avoidant is probably going to change or commit to their partner when I'm practicing is how honest and direct they are. It's kind of sad because some of them are like so blunt, it can be even hurtful. I shouldn't laugh, but that's something I need to work on. But it's much better than this type of thing, right? Where they're not communicating, they're not honest, right? So don't be afraid to be direct, because a person, even an avoidant, if they are willing to change and they care about the relationship, they will be honest, okay? They'll be direct. And the very last one, summarizing it all, is not answering things directly, right? So we just went over shorter messages, canceling last minute, and then decreasing communication. The last one here is not answering things directly. When are we going to meet again? I'll let you know. Play it by ear. And then you never hear from them again, right? They're not answering things directly. That's a huge sign, because avoidants like direct communication. If they're not being direct, it's likely that there's some issue there, right? They're not willing to commit, or they're not willing to meet you halfway, which is unfair. And so it's really important when you notice these signs, it's helpful to address them to your partner so you know why some of these things are happening. Because sometimes, and that's why it's tricky, sometimes avoidants are just like this and they're not ghosting you. That's why avoidance can be tricky, because you never know. It's a little bit more, you're not really sure. It's a little ambiguous. So please ask your partner, because in order to communicate and build trust between you guys have to communicate. So please ask your partner what's going on. It's also important to note, and I've mentioned this before, but I really want to bring this up. If this is happening and it's a long-term relationship with your avoidant partner, I think the likelihood of you being ghosted is a lot less, just because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's much less common in long-term relationships to be ghosted. Just something I wanted to bring up. Anyways, I hope this makes sense. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one.